Welcome back to True Print for Life. I'm your host, Christina Vera.
I'm your co-host, Maylin Sambois.
So today's episode, welcome back first and foremost. We hope that the last episode was insightful, and certainly please feel free to share, comment, like, and also send us submissions of topics that you want us to talk about. And we're always inviting special guests to come and give like professional advice. So if there's a topic that is not within our wheelhouse, we'll certainly go out and find somebody who specializes in that. So just wanted to throw that little caveat in there.
And also, if you want to hear someone that you know, make sure that you share their names with us. We'd love to connect with them and invite them. Let them know that you refer them.
Yes, which actually kind of ties perfectly into today's conversation. So today's topic is not everyone deserves access to you. And, really, as we continue to navigate, especially it's just a different time. I mean, and it's, I think there was a season where it was like, the more people you know and the more friends you had. And it's like, actually, no.
Life is not Facebook.
No. You can have 5,000 friends on Facebook, and that don't mean all those people need, A, they shouldn't know your business, and B, I wouldn't say that you should even consider them actual friends.
They're not, they're followers.
Exactly. So and so it's timely because just this past Saturday, you and I went to visit a friend.
Yes. Very exclusive.
Very exclusive experience, and really was interesting because as we're sitting there and we're just listening and conversating, and even some of the comments that she made, that only, she's been very selective about people she's invited to her home. And it kind of opened this whole dialogue because you and I are very similar.
I was like, we're the same way.
Same way.
We're the same way.
And so it's just one of those things when she started talking about and you've known her years. I am getting to know her. Mm-hmm. And so
she's amazing.
Amazing. And but so it's one of those spaces where it's just like when she said that, first I agreed and immediately, but then it started to get me to thinking about boundaries in relationships and in business. Mm-hmm. And this is really, I think, a time and a place where creating those boundaries and really understanding the importance of having them, especially at a time where, because there is so much access, people tend to feel like you are constantly, or you should be constantly accessible.
Exactly. And that's not true. Absolutely not. And it's nothing because there's a humility with that, right? Like, you really don't have I mean, not speaking of you. I don't have the capacity to be so intentional with every single person that knows me or that I know. So, I don't get offended if I want to meet with somebody, they don't have time, because I know how limited my time is, right? And you can have 5,000 friends. Do you talk to them? Do you know their birthday? You know what I mean? There's so much. So sometimes we get so overwhelmed with I need to be everything to everybody. You cannot. It's great to know people. I know a lot of people, and not a lot of people know us. But I'm not close to a lot of people.
Right.
And there's a difference. And it's okay. Because I will feel really bad, if somebody feels that they're really close to me, but I don't know them like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when our friend was saying how she's very selective, I feel honored, because I'm I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Nobody comes to me. I know people for 20 years. I never know where I live.
Yeah.
So I understood also the beauty of that. Because this person gave us access to a very intimate place, her home. Your home is your sanctuary.
Yeah.
What energies come to your house are important. Who you bring to your house is important. So the fact that we were invited, not because oh my God, it's not like a celebrity, but it meant a lot to me because I'm the same way and you're the same way.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was special. So when you think about that as you're thinking about who should have access to you, well, you have to start thinking about who you want to become. Because who you want to become should be who you have around you.
Right.
Because you will become like those people. So when I start asking myself, am I struggling with something? Why is that? Maybe you don't have nobody around you, and that's why you're struggling. Because there's nobody around you to give you the example, to show you that what's available. If you're only around people that make $10,000 a year, that is all you think is possible. But when you are surrounding yourself with people that make $100,000 a year, or they make more than that, you're like, okay, that is possible. And then they start giving you a strategy of how to do that. They start talking to you about how to do that. And then you start feeling that energy and it will come to you. Before you know, you're in a circle of people that make hundreds of thousands, right? But you have to be intentional, I think, of knowing who you want to become. And then can you get those people to be in your circle? And not in a way like taking advantage, in a way like I want to become this person, then I have to be around that energy. That is just as simple as that. Like I'm not around drug addicts. I respect them. I think it's a struggle. I think it's a very hard thing. But since I was young, I remember in high school, I was kind to everybody. The smokers, the people the kids that did drugs, the ones that were in the corners. I would say hi with a smile to everybody, and I will keep walking. People are like, why are you saying hi to them? I'm like, why not? Right? Like you never know who's gonna help you also, but you can be kind to everybody.
Right.
But I'm not gonna go to the movies with them. I'm not gonna be in the corner with them. I'm not gonna sit with them.
Right.
So I didn't do that, but I was kind to them. And since like high school, I remember that. And I think I have carried that with me for a while because I'm not in places where people do things that I don't want to do. But I can be, if I see them, I'll be kind to them. If I can do a favor for them, I will do it.
Right.
But I'm not going to invest my time and spending quality time with these folks because they're not where I want to be.
Absolutely. And, a big part of what you're describing is that power of proximity.
Yes.
And we talk about this more in depth in our latest book, The Journey from Who You Are to Who You're Meant to Be, because it is so critically important to be mindful of, and it doesn't always have to tie even into just the financials of, how much money you want to make, right? It could just be wanting a better for your life, wanting different types of relationships. If you've always grown up in very like hostile environments, being able to be in spaces with folks who are able to articulate their emotions, are able to just, have conflict resolution, it will open up your mind in a way that you're like, okay, not all people live in dysfunction.
Right.
But if that's all you know, and to your point, all you've been exposed to, you really can't aspire to be or to produce things that you have not seen or experienced yourself. And I think you talked a lot about, really wanting to be intentional about, regardless if that's like your circle or not, always be gracious, always be kind,
Yes.
always be respectful, because you don't know, how certain interactions and what you might seem or deem as insignificant interactions could be major, interactions for other people. And so that, there's been several instances, especially over the past, I want to say 4 or 5 years, quite frankly, people I just don't care to really be associated with in a friendship manner. To Myleen's point, like, I'm never going to kick it with you. Like, you're not coming to, we're not,
You're not coming to my house.
Yeah, you're definitely not coming to my house.
Respectfully.
Respectfully. But still, like, when I see you in public, I'm going to speak. I'm going to say, hey, how are you?
I will acknowledge you.
Because it's not about you. It's about me. At the end of the day, it's you want to walk around with your face all turned up. That's a choice you're choosing to make. I don't have to buy into that, because at the end of the day, I know what I've done. I know what I haven't done. And I know what, whether I've contributed to some, discourse. At the end of the day, I want to be a woman of integrity. And so regardless of the situation, like, I can still work with you. I can still get things done. But I will be very limited without guilt around our interactions. And so I also want to caveat that too. If you are in a space where you're building relationships with people, it can't constantly be this, like you mentioned earlier, asking for, coffee or like, to me personally, I think it's one of those things like, all right, you want to take me to coffee one time? I'm cool with that. But it's like the repetitiveness of like asking for meetings. Did you do anything with the information I've already given you? That's my first question.
First qualifier.
First qualifier. If I don't see that you've made any...
You didn't read that book.
You didn't read the book. You didn't follow up with the people. But then you're constantly contacting me about, can you introduce me to this person? It's just one of those things that is a major drawback for me in terms of what type of relationship you and I are going to have. Because it's just like, you don't support our things. You don't, whether it's time, talent, or treasure, and you're not being intentional about maintaining a relationship. I think you and I are in alignment right now of trying to be very intentional about like, who do we need to be spending time with? Because it's not that we don't value, and I'll speak for me in this moment. It's not that I don't value certain relationships.
We love people.
We just are busy. And so it's just sometimes it's just like fight or flight. Like we're trying to run this organization. We're trying to raise money. We're trying to raise these kids. We're still trying to stay fly in the process. Taking care of our parents. I got in-laws up here. It's just a lot of things. And so sometimes when I run into people that I actually do consider like a friend, someone that I would want to have access to me because I want to have access to them, I feel bad because I'm like, dang, like when's the last time I pulled up on you? And so like trying now in this season of my life, I said, you know what, this is going to be the year that I'm being intentional about spending time with people that I want to spend time with. Not just like I saw you at an event or I'm texting you about a fundraiser. It's like, let's go for a walk. Like I'm going for a walk with somebody like I think in 2 weeks. We just had brunch with somebody last Sunday.
We had dinner.
We had dinner with another person. We had, the thing on Saturday. And it's just, and that takes effort.
So much. Especially when you have to find babysitters.
Right.
Let me tell you.
Yes, I know. But it's so critically important.
Yeah, but it's important.
So as you're evaluating, as we started at the top of this episode, not everybody deserves access to you. But the caveat to that is, who do you want to be able to have exchanges with and not just be transactional, because creating space and time and opportunity to really cultivate those relationships are equally as important as identifying the relationships and the people you don't want to have any further engagement with.
And focus on who you want to spend time with, right? Like that's what you want to attract. And I think it's important to figure it out and make it a plan, because sometimes you're like, I want to sit with somebody, but okay, did you write it down? Did you reach out to them? And making boundaries. So maybe you're not going to spend 3 hours with that person. Maybe you're spending 30 minutes. Maybe it's an hour, because your capacity. So figure out what your capacity is and then start making a plan for it and execute it, right? So for me, like, okay, I need to text somebody. I haven't talked to them in a while. I may not be able to see them, but I want to text them. I want to check in on them to see how they're doing. And we've been really great. I feel like we had that intention this year, and we have at least once a month we have been able to connect with people that we want to connect with. And it's not always about just like funding or wealth. It's also about like just the human. Yeah. There's people that are just really good people that you are around them and you feel the energy, you feel the love. And that is such a currency. Yeah. To have that in this day and age when people sometimes are not real, but to have real people that are just there because they like you, because you like them, and their love is really, they're not jealous of you. They don't want what you got. They're excited for you. And you admire them for what they have accomplished. Like, I think that is important to have people like that in your circle, regardless of what position or who they are. There's really great people. So you have to figure out in your life, who are these people? Do you have these people? And if you're like, well, lucky for you, I don't have nobody, that's actually great. That means you have the opportunity to find these people, right? So maybe you're interested in a class or something, an event. If you go to an event, like you go to Eventbrite, there's millions of events. Right. Is there a topic that you like? Do you like art? Do you like poetry?
Get you a hobby.
You want to go golfing? Like, there's so many things. Go to one of those events. Even if it's by yourself, you're going to meet people there. Absolutely. That love the thing that you love. Right. And start creating little by little those relationships. That's how it starts. It doesn't have, you don't have to have gone to school with them. A lot of my friends now, I didn't go to school. I didn't go to school with Christina.
No.
We didn't go to the same high school.
It's so funny. Thinking about us as teenagers, I don't even know if we would have been in the same circles. She wouldn't have liked me. No, I don't think that.
Why is this basketball girl trying to talk? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, so we didn't meet at the right time, because we would have been like, she's so popular.
I think we would have been friends though. Like, I mean, because you're kind, and I was kind back then too. Even though some people say I wasn't kind. I don't know why, but I don't think it was just one of those things that I didn't know. Like, I was always kind. I was very kind to folks that I could outwardly tell was going through a rough time. Like, if you had like some kind of struggle, disability, or like to me, and still to this day, that pulls at my heart. Like, I remember this one kid, they were being rude to him because he like kind of wore like the same clothes, and one of my friends, like somebody that was like really a part of my group, he was like clowning him one day in class, and I crashed out so bad on him because I was like, bro, like, what are you doing? And he was like, and so I just remember thinking like, you know, to your point, like, you don't know this kid's struggle. You don't know, like, you clowning him, what that's going to do to him when he leaves from here.
Right.
And it's just like those kinds of things, like, to me, I was never about. Now, if I didn't hang out with you for other particular reasons, then I was very, like, at that time, very clear about my boundaries. Not everybody needs to know my next move. Not everybody needs, you know,
Access
my
to you.
time. I was just like, hey, girl, what's up? And I would keep it moving. But I was never dismissive of folks that I could tell were just like, you know, they were just by themselves. And then to me, like, that speaks volumes. When I watch, I'm very observant, and I watch how people treat those that they think they don't need. I've seen how people have treated waitresses, how people have treated custodial staff, how people have even treated something as, you know, just somebody passing something out. And it's just like, you're not going to say thank you, you know, just like just baseline human decency. And that to me has always been like, okay, like now, like we could do like some things together, but you're now in this category. And I definitely will treat you accordingly.
And you have to pay attention because you said something so key. Like, how do people treat people that they don't think that they need or that have value to them?
Right.
Because there's nothing they can do for you, right?
Yeah.
And I observe people like that. And it's sad because you just never know what, like, life is going to do.
Yeah.
So, like, in many of the places that I work, I always tell my leaders, I'm like, listen, you got to treat people well because you never know when they're going to be your boss. Okay? Like, in the community, you got to treat people with respect. You never know when they're going to be the president or hold a position somewhere. And your lack of respect for them is what they're going to remember when they have to make a decision on funding, when they have to make a decision on, you know, recommending you for something or advocating for you for something. Now, I didn't know that growing up. But as I have grown in my thing, I remember in companies, I was always kind to people. I have people that reported to me that are now VPs and that have different positions. So I think in life, you always want to treat people as if one day they will hold the key to your future because you just never know. Now, you don't have to be best friends with them. You don't have to kiss ass to them. Like, you don't have to do all of that. But you do have to be respectful to them. Like, you know, I would never like somebody to disrespect my mother, so I don't disrespect people. Like, you got to take a lot for you to get me out of my element. Like, you have to be extremely cruel as a human to get me out of my element. And even then, I may have some strategies to dealing with you.
Oh, yeah, you're very strategic, boy. I've seen that play out.
But that is important. So I think as people are thinking about relationships, you also want to think about boundaries, right? Like I you know, recently I've been open to dating. And I remember telling somebody, because I had to really evaluate myself. And I said, do you even have time? I'm like, I don't.
Right.
Actually, I don't. And having this conversation with someone was pretty free because I thought about it. And then when they asked me, I was ready to say that. I said, unfortunately, I am open if something is what I believe I deserve and what I need in this time in my life. But I don't have time for the baseless and the useless dates and stuff like that. Because if I'm going to have another dinner, Jesus Christ, I might as well just go and meet with a friend that I haven't seen in a while and I want to connect with. You know, if I'm going to have to get a babysitter for something, I want it to be for something super meaningful and important and not just to leave my son, just to leave my son.
Right.
So I'm in that space right now, evaluating not just like friendship relationships, but also who do I welcome into my life and what kind of access they have to me.
Right.
Just because I can talk to them doesn't mean that I would talk to them.
Right.
You know, sometimes you don't have time to talk. I don't. I could be on my bed. I'm like, I don't. Because I don't have the mental space to just entertain BS conversations anymore. I just don't have that in me.
100%. And I mean, you said so many like key things. And I think oftentimes it's like when people hear the word boundaries, they don't necessarily know how to apply that in their personal settings or professional settings. And, it's one of those things that, have you sat and taken an audit of like, what are your present relationships? Whether they're, like you're describing people you're dating or people you're working with or trying to be friends with or people you're doing business with. And to me, as we talked, and even in our book, we talk a lot about this, boundaries are not about being cold and distant.
No.
That's not what that is. So it's about being clear.
It's not being dismissive.
Yeah.
That's not a boundary.
It's no.
That's rude.
That's just being rude. Like, let's be clear. Like, oh, I have a boundary. Like, girl, go sit down.
No, you just rude. You are rude.
Sometimes people be really like feeling themselves. Like, I have a boundary. I'm like, do you?
Enjoy your boundary.
Go ahead, girl. Like, nobody's, okay, just fine. And so I think there has to be
perspective.
It's very, very much so. So let me reiterate that boundaries are not about being cold or distant or disrespectful. It's about just being very clear about, what it is you stand on in terms of core values, what and that takes discipline on your part, because you can't say one thing and then do another.
The non-negotiables.
The non-negotiables, which we talk a lot about in our book as well.
Let me give you an example. If you're in corporate and you're like a boundary, if you have employees, don't go drinking with them. Let me explain to you why. I had an experience one. I mean, I don't know, it had to be at least 15 years ago. I feel like I've been in management forever. I'm so young. And I was promoted to a supervisor. And my team will go out and drink and they will do all these things. I won't go. I said, enjoy, have fun, be safe. I never went to one. My coworker used to go out and drink with them. Now, I didn't do this even before I was actually a manager, because I knew that if I ever got promoted in this company, I didn't want to have stories that people will have over me. So people just thought that I just didn't have a life. Other people will go and hang out. They'll do all these things. When me and my friend or colleague both got promoted, her people will not respect her because they saw her as one of the girls. And she will come to me crying, like, I don't know, they don't listen to me. I'm like, I remember when I told you not to go drinking with them and not to get hammered in front of them. Now you have to set some expectations, and they're gonna look at you like you just change up. You're acting brand new. Right? This is your role.
Right.
So I will give you this. If you take anything from today, one of the boundaries as someone, if you're in a company, I don't care if you are the male person right now and you want to grow in that company, set yourself up as someone that's going to be promoted, and how do you want to be promoted, how you want to be remembered by the people that you might have to lead one day.
Yeah.
And start watching yourself that way.
Absolutely.
And then when you get to that promotion, you don't have to now manage expectations and stories about yourself. So that is the first thing I would tell you right now.
That is so valid. Like, even when I go to networking events and there's an open bar or a bar of any sort, I don't drink at those events. It's very rare. It's rare. Like, on occasion, depending on what kind of event it is, I might do a glass of wine. But for me, I can't risk being in a space to where it's like, you're going to ask me something and I'm not going to be able to be on my game. Like, to me, I know my body. So some people, they can do that. They can have a couple of beverages. They have the tolerance. If you know that about yourself, and you know, like, one beverage is going to maybe like slightly alter your ability to still be as you identify, like those core values, like how you want to show up in those rooms, in those spaces, once you are very locked into what that is, you have to evaluate every move, every relationship, every post, every outfit. And it's not from a it's like, it's that locked in mentality of like, this is how I want to live my life. This is how I want to show up in rooms. This is how I want to lead. This is how I want to do business. If you know certain habits can deter you and alter you from being able to be at your optimal self, don't put yourself in those situations. And, I have conversations with my spouse about this, because he said men have a different philosophy. And in his circles, in his industry, like, if you don't go drink with them, then that's what limits you from being able to build and grow within particular industry, which I'm not denying that. I don't know that. That's his theory. I don't believe that personally. I think it's all cap. And that's part of why we're low-key beefing right now.
But there's a difference, though, of going to have a happy hour and then how you behave in the happy hour, though. So there's two different things, right? Because regardless if you're like, male or female.
But don't be in there doing all that. You know?
Like, you have to have some boundaries, because those same friends that will laugh with you as you act like a fool, whether you're a woman or a man, are the same ones that when they're not gonna really respect you, because when it's time for you to have a promotion, they're gonna be like, yeah, you're smart, but I saw you acting like a fool over there. So it's a subconscious thing. I think people don't understand that it's a truly subconscious thing.
Yeah.
When people look at you, like if you see a group of men, and I read this actually somewhere, you have a group of men that go out, and one of the men is cheating on his wife, the other men may be cool with you, but they don't trust you anymore.
Right.
Because they may not even know that. Subconsciously, they think if you cheated on the woman that's like supposed to be your ride or die, then how are you going to even be ride or die with me? Like men subconsciously have that mentality.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't even talk. They don't even know. I don't think they're even thinking about it, but it's inside. Because I used to have someone that used to be like, I don't know why they don't want to be with me. Like, they don't want to hang out with me. And I'm like, I don't know why. Later, behold, it's like, oh, that's why. Because they saw you.
Because they know what you was really on.
I didn't see you, but they saw you, right? And in their mind, they're like, you're not trustworthy.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
So yes, you can go drink because you're building that type of relationship,
Yeah, like
right?
the network,
Yeah, the network. But it's how are you behaving?
Conducting.
Can you have 1 or 2 drinks and still be cool? Great, if your tolerance is that great. But if you know your tolerance is 1, before you lose your cool sense, then just stick to 1.
Yeah.
That's
and
it.
if you can't, then don't put yourself in that position.
If you know that 1's gonna trigger 20, have that bubbly water.
Like, bro. Yeah. I agree.
Or girl. Bro or girl.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking of a certain bro.
No, I'm thinking about a girl. I'm gonna be like, or girl.
I got a bro in my mind right now. So,
or girl.
Yes, or girl. So just to reiterate, boundaries are simply, not everyone needs to know your next move. We're very big on that. And it's not from a place of like scarcity mindset, but I believe it's so critically important to really, whatever you're mapping out, whatever you're building, whatever's going on in your relationships, and not everybody needs to know your next move and then the people who eventually need to know, you need to be very mindful and strategic about who needs to know and when do they actually need to know and why do they need to know. Not everyone needs to know your next move. Not everyone needs to have your time on demand. When people text me at all hours, one thing about me, there's only a handful of people that can text me after a certain period of the day. After a certain time, I'm not responding to you until the next day, especially during business hours. I create that boundary because it's important to me to have downtime, to be, with my children, to be with my family. And I also want you as a colleague to be able to also have that. So if you're texting me or emailing me at all hours of the night, I appreciate the update. But unless it's like a code red situation, I'm not going to respond to you, nor am I going to message you. So I also want to be intentional of like, okay, this is a boundary I have, but I don't want to be breaking my own boundary of messaging you at 6 a.m. being like, hey, I forgot to tell you that. No, like that could wait, right? Or set it, if it's in your brain and you don't want to forget, go put that email in draft mode and have it go out the next morning at 8 a.m. so that you can schedule it, because you have to be mindful that everyone needs your time. Not everyone needs your time on demand. And not everyone gets a front row seat to your growth. Like there are people and relationships and habits and systems that should not be with you in this very moment. And you also have to guard that. You have to protect that because it's so critically important to understand that the more access, the more opportunity you give for someone or something to disrupt everything you're working so hard to build.
Yes, you have to be very careful. And I think I feel like those that are really happy for you, those that really care about you, when you do something and you didn't tell them, they're excited for you.
Yes.
Like they're not going to be hating. Those that are hating, that's a great testament to tell like who's not for you.
Right.
Because if they're
100%.
upset. One of the times I got married, I remember somebody being like, oh, if you had told me, I would have given you a check. I was like, I'm still accepting checks. I'm divorced now, but I'm still accepting checks. You want to send a check? Like, really, for real, like, stop that. Don't do that, right? Like, if you want to really support. You don't have to, like, well, if I had known, I would have. I'm like, now I know. Somebody had a baby, that's great. If I'm able to, if I have the means to do it, I can send a gift now. I don't care the kid's 20. Yeah. I can send a gift now. Absolutely,
100%. And so as we're thinking about boundaries and, understanding what that looks like in business, as we've talked about, and one of the things I think I definitely want to highlight is not overcommitting just to be nice.
Yeah, don't. Please
I think there's
don't.
certain seasons, especially as you're just starting in your career, you want to volunteer, you want to be a part of everything, because it's also, going back to like that power of proximity. But I think it is so critically important to be very like saying yes to every opportunity that sounds good but isn't aligned is actually not an opportunity.
But even then, when you're starting, if I could give an advice to anybody starting over or kind of like in that place, give yourself a number. Like, okay, I can attend 3 events this month, or this week I can do 1 event, but you can't do everything because then you still need time for you, for your goals, for your career, for all those things. So don't sell into the hype that you have to be everywhere.
Yeah.
That's not great either. Like, I think I started telling myself, like, okay, I need to sit down and figure out how many things can I do a week? How many can I do a month? Because once I hit that quota, unless it's absolutely necessary, I don't want to go over that. I don't have to, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, I used to because I didn't know better.
Right.
And when I was trying to run from whatever I was running from, but I'm not running from nothing anymore. So now you have to really tell yourself, look at your capacity. How many events can you attend? How many meetings? How many, and give yourself that. And make sure that in your calendar, if some of you are so good at your calendar, that you have yourself in that calendar. You have time for yourself to decompress. Did you take a bath? Did you take a massage? Did you read? Did you drink? Like, make sure that you put yourself also on your calendar because sometimes we're so busy building that we forget our own selves in the plan.
Oh, 100%. And so as Maylin is sharing, like protecting your time, your energy, and your vision is so critically important because every conversation, every meeting, every relationship is either fueling you or pulling you away from you or what you're supposed to be doing. So that's how you evaluate when you're creating these boundaries. Every conversation, every meeting, every relationship is either fueling you towards what you have identified, where you want to be, how you want to do it, your goal. So it's either fueling that or it's pulling you away from that.
Always draining that.
Absolutely. So we hope this episode was helpful. Would love to hear your feedback, hear, how you are creating boundaries in this season of your life. And do you need to go back and retweak some of those boundaries? Are these boundaries effective for you? Do you, because oftentimes we just, we're just adopting things as we go, but are we reflecting on, do these boundaries make sense? And am I actually living out my boundaries? Am I creating spaces and things that I myself are also following for other people?
Yeah. And if you're not, it's okay. Start today.
Yeah, today's a new day.
Yes, start today.
Yeah. So as we always say here at True Print for Life, it's bigger than you.
Thank you so much for listening today. We're excited and we hope that you follow us on
Instagram, True Print for Life, YouTube channel, also True Print for Life. And make sure that you share, like, watch our videos. Make sure that you follow us on all streaming platforms.